Part 46. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 452. Luo Bin is still at a critical moment. Her own cultivation and realm have long been destroyed, so she first relied on the original dragon scales to slow down the injuries. Presumably, in the first period of time, the power of the tribulation needs to be driven away until it is completely removed. In the second period, she needs to recover from the injury to her peak condition. For her, her peak is much higher than now, so she conservatively estimates that it will take 2 years, which is actually not much. And when the time comes, she will only be able to recover to the point where she can break through the heaven-swallowing demon mansion, and it will not be her peak moment. I'm sorry to have delayed you for so long. I can only do my best, Luo Bin said apologetically. It doesn't matter. We have lived through life and death, so there is no need to worry about such trivial matters. If you miss some time during the trip to Xuanhuan, that's no problem. Wu Yu was in a good mood. Seeing that he was really not in a hurry, Luo Bai felt even more fond of him. She said no more and began to use the original dragon scales to expel the catastrophe. This is a more critical process and also a kind of struggle. The power of the heavenly tribulation has escaped. If you want to practice, you'd better go outside the heaven-devouring demon mansion, Luo Bin warned him before entering the state. Otherwise, there will be too much movement here, which is not conducive to meditation and practice, and may cause accidental injuries from the power of heavenly calamity. Luo Bin was also trying to buy time for Wu Yu. Wu Yu arrived outside the sky-swallowing demon mansion and stood about at the exit. At this time, there was a huge movement in the sky-swallowing demon mansion, and blue light shone inside, as if the sky-swallowing demon mansion had become an ocean, and then a strong wind roared. Thunder riots, rising anger. The various forces of rebellion, fighting among them, are very shocking and powerful. It is obvious that Luo Bin has begun to expel the power of the tribulation. This is estimated to be a long time. Wu Yu murmured, I estimate that it will take 2 years to stay in this heaven-swallowing demon mansion. There is no spiritual energy here. It is far inferior to the Yanhuang ancient well, and even the environment of the Tongtian sword sect is inferior. If you want to practice, you must rely on the Canghai Yuan Kai pill. But I don't have too many Canghai Yuan Kai pills in my hands. He couldn't help frowning. Just imagine that Baishan Mo had been in Xuanhuan reincarnation cave for another 3 years, and he had a similar opportunity, but he went from Yanhuang ancient well to the sky-swallowing demon mansion, and had to stay here for more than 2 years. Within the sky-swallowing demon mansion the environment was extremely bad, which meant that he and Baishan Mo were chasing each other. At this time, he was at an absolute disadvantage. Others seemed to be flying with swords in the sky, but in this heaven-devouring demon mansion, it was like rushing through a quagmire. Even if he worked harder than him, the results would be hugely different. This kind of disadvantage made Wu Yu a little depressed, but it definitely couldn't defeat him. I have always had many disadvantages since I was a child. Haven't I caught up with the top people in this group, and why do I still care about this heaven-swallowing demon mansion? Precisely because of his strong will, he quickly stopped worrying about this matter. Wu Yu, take out the egg you just got and take a look at it, Ming Long said excitedly as soon as he came out. She was talking to Wu Yu in Wu Yu's body, so outsiders couldn't hear her. Is this an egg? Wu Yu took out the egg and wiped it. Sure enough, the egg was pure white. Such a big egg could never be an egg. How do I know if this is an egg? Just think of it as an egg. Don't you think it's strange? How could an egg appear in this heaven-devouring demon mansion? This is the place where the ancestor of the heaven-devouring demon is sealed. Ming Long was a little excited. Said curiously. Wu Yu looked at it, knocked it, and listened to the sound. There was no doubt that the egg was alive. There seemed to be a life inside, but it was very weak, so weak that it almost didn't exist. It seemed like he was going to die at any moment. However, The eggshell did not look fragile. As long as Wu Yu applied a little force, it seemed that he could not tear the eggshell apart. Yes, how come there is such a living thing here? Is this the descendant of the gods of all things? However, the gods of all things do not seem to reproduce. So what is this? Why is the black demon wolf afraid of it? Wu Yu was also confused. Ming Long said quietly, I guess this must have something to do with the heaven-devouring demon ancestor. The heaven-devouring demon ancestor may not have died, or he may have become an egg in some unknown way, or he may have resurrected from the dead and become an egg. No matter what the possibility is, I think it must be related to the heaven-devouring demon ancestor, Ming Long said excitedly. I really don't know why she is so excited. Wu Yu shook his head and said, not necessarily, maybe it has something to do with the former lord of Yanhuang City. Or this is not an egg, but they put it here to suppress the possible birth of all gods. This is also possible. It must have something to do with the heaven-devouring demon ancestor. Believe me, I've eaten more food than you have eaten, Ming Long said with his teeth and claws. It's because you eat more poop than I eat, Wu Yu laughed. In fact, he was very vigilant. In fact, what Ming Long said made sense. If this egg was really related to the heaven-devouring demon ancestor, how should he deal with it appropriately? Should he just break it? What do you think we should do with it? Wu Yu asked. Ming Long chuckled and said mysteriously, first of all, we guessed that it should be related to the heaven-devouring demon ancestor. Maybe it is the hope of the heaven-devouring demon ancestor's resurrection. Anyway, it is definitely not ordinary, right? Maybe it is related to the heaven-devouring demon ancestor. What about the equally terrifying gods of all things? This is the key. What's more important is that this is a perfect body. I have a method that can divide your soul when you reach the realm of soul transformation. Second, form the second soul. You plant the second soul in this body and turn it into your own body. If it is as I imagined, it is possible for you to have the same power as the heaven-devouring demon ancestor in the future. I dare say that the benefits of being a clone of the gods of all things with the same talent are no less than if you get the Ruyi golden cudgel. This sounded too mysterious. Wu Yu didn't understand and was stunned here. In general, I can make you have a more terrifying clone, which is your own body, but it can swallow the sky and the earth just like the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor. Of course, if this egg is as big as I imagined, just give it a try, Ming Long said. Wu Yu stared at the egg and thought for a long time. He wasn't sure what it was, so it was going to be a problem. If I take it out of the heaven-swallowing demon mansion, will something terrible happen and cause all the people to fall into catastrophe? Is the heaven-devouring demon ancestor dead or not? Is this egg ordinary or complex? What does it have to do with the heaven-devouring demon ancestor? Okay, don't think too much, just keep it with you. It has to be here for at least 2 years. We'll see what happens in these 2 years. This egg must have been there for a long time, and it obviously won't change easily. You still have a long time before you can reach the state of transformation into a spiritual form, so there's no point in thinking too much now. Okay. Anyway, the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor is still here. Wu Yu just transferred it to the Sumuru bag. If there are no problems in the past 2 years, he will then consider whether to take it away from here. I am indeed still too far away from the Yuan Shen transformation realm. However, now I can break enough pills to enter the Zifukanghai realm. So far, after experiencing these 2 life and death catastrophes, Wu Yu has figured out more problems. Now his understanding of the Tao has almost reached the extreme, and the golden elixir is also perfect. At this time, he finally calmed down. He could finally reach a higher realm with peace of mind. Once upon a time, I went from the chi-condensing immortal root realm to the golden core Dao realm. Now, from the realm of Jindan Dao, they are attacking the Zifukanghai realm. This is an increase in levels, a transformation of creatures, and an evolution of life. This kind of breakthrough is more meaningful than other breakthroughs. At least the longevity will be directly increased by 100 years. Wu Yu defeated a large number of people in the Zifu Kanghai realm, and now it was the first time he attacked the Zifu Kanghai realm. In fact, it takes great perseverance to hit this realm. Because the prerequisite for achieving the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm is that the golden elixir needs to be broken into pieces. Basically, it is equivalent to directly breaking all the understandings of the Jindan Dao realm, and then breaking and then standing in the midst of the shattering, forming the Danshan Zi Mansion, billowing into the sea. In history, many ascetics have failed here. Once their attainments on the golden elixir path were lost, they might even have lost their lives. Therefore, even if you have enough insights, you still need to enter the state at this time, concentrate on it, use great perseverance and great wisdom to break and then stand up, and achieve the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm. When Wu Yu sat cross-legged on the ground, concentrating momentarily, he was already prepared for the impact. At this time, it is necessary to use the great heavenly immortal technique. The methods of cultivating immortality used by Wu Yu, from qi condensation to golden pill, and then to Zifu, have always been high-grade celestial techniques. Different cultivation methods are actually the foundation of Taoism. High-grade celestial techniques sometimes seem useless. In fact, it is closely related to every bit of Wu Yu's golden elixir. For example, the superb quality of the golden elixir was brought by the Kanghai realm of Zifu. Among the great immortal arts, there is the method of breaking pills, which is called the breaking immortal technique. With the word breaking as its title, it is naturally fierce and fierce. It moves forward without any room for retreat. Then the method of condensing the Purple Mansion's Kanghai realm was named Forging Immortal Palace. Break the immortal technique and build the immortal palace. The great success of the Zi Mansion has turned the world upside down and swept across the world. The vast sea of Zi Mansion is the sea of mana. This is truly a magical power. First, the immortal breaking technique. After years of hard work, the golden elixir was perfected. Today it was destroyed in one day and fell into chaos. Zifu was born in chaos, opening up the small world of Zifu and making the Danshan like a sea. Zifu Yuan Li, Zifu Yuan Huo, infinite endless sound. This is called becoming an immortal in the world and reaching the heavens. If you want to become a Zifu, you must first break the golden elixir. The immortal breaking technique condensed the elixir to form a sharp golden thorn on the golden elixir. Invisibly, Wu Yu condensed the golden thorn into the shape of the Ruyi golden cudgel, which was suspended above the golden elixir. Drink suddenly. At that moment, without any hesitation, he thrust the Ruyi golden cudgel into the golden core. The road rises from the ground up. Madman has joined the Chinese Writers Association, at the national level, which seems a bit embarrassing. Congratulations to myself, haha /U003 cent /U003 c/cente. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 453. For Wu Yu, there are actually two greater expectations after reaching the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm. First, after achieving the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm, he can practice the second great magical power. This seems to be related to the inner wall of the Purple Mansion that appears after achieving the Purple Mansion. Wu Yu's first great magical power comes from the Monkey King, the Fighting Buddha. This technique of clones outside the law has helped Wu Yu countless times so far, allowing Wu Yu to come back to life almost every time. Therefore, he is particularly looking forward to the second great magical power. The Monkey King has many magical powers, so he is also looking forward to what his second magical power will be. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Of course, this depends on Ming Long's expression. Second, it is the third change of the 72 changes. The change of fixation in the past and the change of power now, whether it is the immobilization technique or the violent technique, are Wu Yu's trump cards for a period of time, so the power of these 72 changes is absolutely beyond doubt. The second great Dao magical power and the third change are both top methods. For these two top methods, Wu Yu was full of confidence in rushing to the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm at this time. Under his control, the golden light in the shape of the Ruyi golden hoop suddenly pierced down, almost without suspense, and directly pierced Wu Yu's golden elixir. At that moment, the golden elixir was broken, torn apart in an instant, and turned into a violent force, sweeping in an instant, losing the power of the Dao control, becoming violent and crazy, and instantly bursting Wu Yu's Danshan. The cholera force, like a wild horse running wildly, rioted and roared in Wu Yu's body, which was simply fatal. At that moment, Wu Yu's whole body instantly shone with rich gold, burning with a golden flame that soared into the sky. Under the flesh and blood, the power of Danshan was like a swimming dragon, drilling in his body, and even wanted to burst Wu Yu's body. But the advantage of Wu Yu and other cultivators who impacted the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm was that his body was too strong. The power that could tear others apart could not hurt his body at all. Wu Yu easily suppressed the power with his body. Even after the Dan was broken and he lost control of the Tao, Wu Yu remained calm and suppressed the violent power in his body, and then suppressed it in the direction of Danshan. The immortal breaking technique is complete, and the immortal palace can be cast. Wu Yu calmed down and concentrated his mind, and started the second step. The second step was more critical. It was a change, which was to rearrange and enhance the chaotic Jindan power, open up a purple mansion ocean in the Danshan, and open up a small world. But it is not difficult for Wu Yu to suppress these Dan Yuan with his physical body. This is the advantage of his strong physical body, especially the casting immortal palace is a very advanced method of cultivating immortals. The purple mansion it opened up is said to be like the immortal palace heaven. When the purple mansion sea realm is completed, it is as if a heaven is opened up in the Danshan. Wu Yu used the method of casting immortal palace to let the Dan Yuan return to the Danshan. At this time, the Dan Yuan was divided into tens of thousands of golden rays of power. If it were tens of thousands of Ruyi Jinggu Bangs, he would control their fierce collision in an instant. The collision of tens of thousands of golden rays instantly turned the Danshan into a chaotic land. At this time, Wu Yu's Danshan needed to have super strong endurance to hold on until the birth of the Purple Mansion. His Danshan was forged by the ghost-eating volcano, so it is naturally solid. Needless to say, Wu Yu's mental will is strong. If he can't hold on, he can still visualize the heart monkey. Moreover, the great heavenly immortal technique is the top method. Under all the advantages, the Purple Mansion Sea realm is only a matter of time. Of course, a large number of Kanghai Yuankai pills were needed at this time. Wu Yu had left thousands of Kanghai Yuankai pills for use. He swallowed the Kanghai Yuankai pills worth millions of merits in a very short time. At this time, he did not refine them, but let these Kanghai Yuankai pills enter the Danshan and join the chaos of the golden elixir power. Those Kanghai Yuankai pills were directly penetrated, and then the domineering and fierce medicinal power was directly emitted, extremely fast and fierce. Even terrifying. At this time, the chaos in his Danshan almost reached the level of no one before and no one after. In fact, others condensed the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm. In fact, at most they used a dozen Kanghai Yuankai pills, and the top geniuses only had hundreds of them. He directly used thousands of them. It seemed that he was looking for death, but in fact he knew the limit of his endurance. Wu Yu held on even in the extreme chaos. The method of the Xuxian Palace condensed the power that could be controlled into strange scriptures, arranged them neatly, and added them to the chaos of the impact. Purple Mansion, look up. In the fierce collision, everything fell into a state of haze, surrounded by mist, and then in an instant, in the center of the chaos, a purple light suddenly rose. The purple light spread rapidly, and in an instant the entire Danshan underwent earth-shaking changes. In an instant, All the power was dyed purple and swept away, and then changed instantly, and in the blink of an eye, a vast sea was created. Purple Mansion, great success. In the blink of an eye, a world was formed in the Danshan. Below the world is a vast purple river and sea, with rolling waves and waves. The purple river and sea are actually all Yuan Li, and the medicinal power of the thousands of Kanghai Yuan Kai pills is completely integrated into it. Above the world, there is a hazy purple cloud, and the cloud is burning with a blazing purple fire. That is the purple mansion Yuan Huo, an important flame for alchemy. The purple mansion Yuan Li and the purple mansion Yuan Huo together constitute this purple mansion Kanghai world. In the chaos, there seems to be a fairy palace. At the same time, on the east and west sides of Zifu's small world, two walls suddenly rose up. The walls were made of Zifu's energy and condensed into a solid body. There was a blank space on it, and on the other side, there was a golden mark. This golden mark it is the magical power of Outlaw Clone. If the wall is blank, the second magical power can be imprinted on it. This is the inner wall of Zi Mansion. In the Kanghai realm of Zi Mansion, a total of 4 inner walls will rise. There are 2 of them now. When it reaches the 5th level, another one will rise. When it reaches the 8th level, the 4th one will rise. By then, there will be great avenues and supernatural powers in the southeast, northwest, and northwest. The success of the inner wall of the Zi Mansion was actually copied from the demon. It is said that in ancient times, when the ascetics had not mastered the magical power of the demon, when they were cultivating and achieved the purple mansion Kanghai realm, the Zi Mansion was not born. Inner wall. Obviously, Wu Yu successfully achieved the purple mansion Kanghai realm. And I have the opportunity to practice another magical power. Call. He took a deep breath and stabilized the state of Zifu Kanghai realm. As expected, his life felt like a leap forward. At least the longevity has been increased by another 100 years. Now Dan Yuan has become Zifu Yuan Li. However, although the Zifu Yuan Li of the Great Immortal Technique is only the first level, it is much more powerful than other people's Zifu Yuan Li. For example, at this time, the total amount and power of Wu Yu's vast Jianghai Zifu Yuan Li is probably similar to the 4th level of Zifu Kanghai realm. There is a vision in Zifu. Most ascetics have no visions. It is said that if a star shines brightly, it is a top genius. If there is a bright moon in the sky, you are a super genius. For example, in Qin Fu's purple mansion, there is a bright moon in the sky, and there are 4 wheels. If there is a bright sun shining down in the sky, it is an eternal genius. It is not known whether such an eternal talent exists within the divine continent today. It is said that if there is a bright sun in the sky, it is a sign that you can attain enlightenment and become an immortal. As for Wu Yu, he is different from ordinary people. Above the vast sea of his Zifu, in the vast smoke formed by the burning of the Zifu Yuan Huo, there seems to be a fairy palace. The fairy palace is mysterious and vast, although it is not as blazing as the bright sun in the sky. But probably not as good. At least even if there is a bright sun in the sky, the Yuan power of Zi Mansion at this time will not be as powerful as Wu Yu. This means that Wu Yu's clones can all upgrade themselves to the Zifu realm, and the Zifu Yuan power has reached a level comparable to the 4th level of the Zifu Kanghai realm. Of course, it is the 4th level of the ordinary Zifu Kanghai realm, not Baishan Mo and others. Of course, this requires a large amount of Kanghai Yuan Kai pill, and it is a huge amount. At least Wu Yu is worried when he thinks about it now. Now the Zi Mansion is complete. Wu Yu stood up and suddenly felt high-spirited. He laughed 3 times, very happy. Because he was even more looking forward to the next 2 magical arts. At this time, he and Ming Long were so familiar that they had almost nothing to say. The 2 people getting along were no longer as awkward as they were at the beginning. Wu Yu said directly, "How can I? It's so easy at this moment, you must not hide it, otherwise I will be bullied, and you will not be able to see the light of day again. Come on, Don't waste time with me. Minglong was furious and said, "Oh my god, are you begging me? Why do I feel like you are bossing me around? Should we practice the great power first, or the third transformation?" Wu Yu asked simply. "Oh my god, do you still take this girl seriously?" Minglong got out, inserted her waist, and looked at him angrily. "I think the third transformation is better first. After all, this is easy. The great sage will directly guide me, and it only takes an hour or two. The great magical power will take a long time to hone." He had thought about it. Now in this sky-swallowing demon mansion, there is no spiritual energy here, and the Kanghai Yuan Kai pill is empty. The most important thing now is to learn these two new stunts well. It takes as long as it takes. Minglong gritted his teeth and said, "Wu Yu, you little bastard, you are getting worse and worse. How can you be like this? Do you know what I am capable of? How powerful I was back then? I want to use a lot of property and money from the world of Jambu. Come and exchange delicacies with me from all over the world, and I haven't agreed yet." Wu Yu was in a good mood, smiled, and said, "Don't be so coy. We who live and die together have long been a family. As a family, there is no distinction between you and me. At most, we all have the same inheritance. For your sake, I can call you senior sister." My identity changed from grandma to senior sister so quickly. Minglong bared his teeth. The two of them teased for a while, then she surrendered and said, "I haven't thought about the third change yet, but I have already thought about the second magical power for you." Minglong showed a look of longing for memories and said, "Its name is, Fiery Eyes and Golden Eyes." In order to better communicate with readers, Madman decided to open his private QQ. Anyone is allowed to add. However, because Madman spends most of his time typing, he may not be able to reply to everyone's private chat questions. You have time to pay attention to what Madman usually posts, or contact you if there is something important. If there is no reply, please don't strange. The QQ number is posted on the WeChat public account, Fengqing Yang. Please pay attention to the WeChat ID of Madman first. It will be posted around 2000 hours in the evening. Again, please forgive me if there is no reply. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 454. Fierce Eyes. Wu Yu was stunned for a moment. From the sound of this name, it should be a magical power related to the eyes. Wu Yu had already seen how powerful and special the extra-legal clones were, but he just didn't know what was so special about this magical power with blazing eyes. He is not in a hurry. Now he can stabilize Zifu Kanghai Realm's cultivation while listening to Minglong. Whenever he talks about the Dharma of the Monkey King, Minglong always feels proud, as if he created the Dharma. The name of this magical power is, Fiery Eyes and Golden Eyes. This is also a magical power of heaven. It is 10,000 times better than the magical power of the mortal world. Its overbearing magical effect is comparable to that of the lawless clone. Of course, the active direction is different, Minglong Shenkai said. How is it different? Wu Yu asked. Minglong said, the clone outside the law is the magical power of the clone. It aims at thousands of armies and countless incarnations. At the final stage of perfection, one person can even become a world. In the sky and on the earth, everyone is himself. What about these fiery eyes? This is the pupil technique, a magical technique that forges the eyes. There are also magical powers that can use the eyes in the world. This flaming eye and golden eye is the magical power of the immortal. It is naturally the best among them. I have limited knowledge of this flaming eye and golden eye. I only know it's the first 5 levels. If you can cultivate to the 5th level of magical power, it will actually be quite terrifying. Want to hear the details? Minglong waved his little hand, crossed it across his waist, and said with an unparalleled momentum, "The first level is called Dongxiu. Those who are Dongxiu can see through illusions. All illusions in the world cannot be escaped. With your fiery eyes, for example, monsters and immortal beasts cannot hide in front of you. As long as you reach the first level of cultivation, you can actually directly see that this concubine is a divine dragon. The monsters in the world cannot hide in your eyes. Has the power of piercing the void, the power of eyesight, which is rare in the world. For example, the psychedelic array and psychedelic techniques can be seen through at a glance. The key to the complex array can be clearly seen at a glance. Being familiar with the magic circle has a huge impact. If Mingtong's description is not exaggerated, then this magical power of blazing eyes and golden eyes is indeed amazing. Just the first level alone has the ability to penetrate the void. Seeing that he was curious and excited, Minglong felt a sense of accomplishment in his heart, so he introduced him proudly, waved his little arms, put his hands on his hips, raised his head as if singing, and said, "The second level of the flaming eyes and golden eyes is called soul refining. As the name suggests, at this level, your eyes can burn the soul and soul. Of course, you can burn the soul of anyone you see with your eyes, not your own. With the increase of Yuan Li, the power of soul refining increases day by day. The power of soul refining eye is much more powerful than your annihilation beast soul shaking technique. One glance at refining the soul can make the enemy's soul burn, and life would be worse than death. You say, this fierce eyes and golden eyes, are they powerful? It's really incredible that one can refine one's soul just by looking at him. When Wu Yu heard this, he actually decided that he must cultivate this piercing eye. This was indeed what he had longed for such a long time. He knew that the magical powers of the Monkey King were terrifying, but he didn't expect them to be so terrifying. Minglong continued singing and said, "Speaking of the third level, it is even more amazing. The third level is called Guanri. The so-called Guanri means looking through the sun to this extent. As long as you are under the sun, when you look up at the sky, you can absorb the scorching sun's fire with your eyes. In a very short period of time, you can condense the magnificent true fire of the sun into your eyes. When fighting, it will burst out and burn the opponent. Ordinary opponents will not let you burn into coke. Besides, the more powerful you are, the more true sun fire you can absorb, the more powerful it will be. The only regret is that in an environment like the Tian Tian Demon Mansion, there is basically no, it's just that the method is effective. But it doesn't matter, there is a fourth level." Minglong kept talking, but when it came to this point, Wu Yu was actually extremely fascinated. Of course, he was even more curious about the power of the piercing eyes that followed. The fourth level is beyond the scope of ordinary eye skills. This realm is the Golden Eye realm. I have never been to this realm, so I am not familiar with it, but it seems that I can condense a world with my eyes and trap the enemy in it in this Golden Eye realm. The Golden Eye realm is an area that you and I control. I'm afraid your opponents won't be able to escape your eyes at all. It even has many miraculous effects. I won't say more. You can go there by yourself when the time comes. Experience. As for the fifth level, it feels far away. It's called the Fire Absolute Immortal Realm. The Absolute Immortal is the exterminating immortal. The fiery eyes and golden eyes of this level are even more complicated since they have the power of the Absolute Immortal. You need to do it yourself. Exploring. Moreover, I guess the end point is far from that. Just like the lawless clone, when you reach the extreme, you will definitely have many incredible abilities. It's easy to incarnate into billions, see through the universe with eyes, and burn the world on fire. Not to mention, when you reach the fifth level of Zifukanghai realm, and the eighth level of Zifukanghai realm, there will be more domineering magical powers waiting for you. These words made Wu Yu's blood boil and made him truly understand that although he was not protected by his parents and elders, his resources and immortal inheritance could leave Baishan Mo and the others several blocks away. However, now I have to calm down. Although his fiery eyes and golden eyes were so attractive, Wu Yu decided to practice the second heavenly power after mastering the third art of transformation. Minglong thought about it for a long time, and then said, "Now your power can change twice as fast, you have an indestructible body, and you have two heavenly powers. It is perfect, but there is one more common thing, and that is speed. And among the earth evil transformation techniques, there happens to be a speed change called the divine movement technique. Are you willing to learn it?" This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Change of power. Violence. Changes in speed, divine movement. It sounds like it has indeed made up for my shortcomings in this area, and speed can sometimes determine the outcome, and it is also very critical. So, Wu Yu asked, "What are the details of this magic technique?" Minglong said, "After you have completed the cultivation, you only need to use the magic movement technique. When fighting, when you move up and down, your speed can usually reach more than twice, or even 3 times your own speed. It will be like a strong wind under your feet, assisting you in the magic movement. If you can control the sword travels in a straight line, and can even reach 5 times its own speed. This is the method of an immortal. This multiple, at least in your human world, will never change, let alone have a bottleneck. Combat speed 2 to 3 times. 5 times the speed in a straight line. That violent technique only increases the power by twice." In Wu Yu's opinion, this third transformation of the magic technique has already made him quite satisfied. Recalling that he was chased by the black demonic wolf before, in fact, if he had mastered magic at that time, the black demonic wolf might not be able to catch up with him. Speed seems to have nothing to do with combat power, but in fact it is more related to life and death, no worse than attack and defense. Therefore, when Ming Tong was asked to consider the divine walking technique for himself, he agreed without much hesitation. "Then it's confirmed that this magic technique is used," Wu Yu said. "You're so lucky. You get whatever you want. I thought I got these from the Ruyi Golden Cudgel. It's a waste of the strength of 9 cows and 2 tigers." Ming Long rolled his eyes. "Who let me hold your life in my hands, haha." Wu Yu smiled. "You have to be nice to others. All their hopes are pinned on you." Ming Long imitated Qin Fui's tone and said sweetly. "Don't be like this, don't look at what you look like now. You look less than 10 years old, and you still imitate her, haha." Amidst the laughter, it was confirmed that it was the fiery eyes and the magic of magic. The first is the magic of magic. The 72 transformations were directly left to me by the Monkey King, otherwise I would not be able to rest at this time. I only need him to put the seeds into my body and think about it slowly. Just like before, Wu Yu completely mastered this magical technique within 3 days. However, he immediately discovered that the divine movement technique also had certain flaws. The execution of the body holding technique may not be successful. After using a violent technique, your muscles will be sore and your body will be weak. When this divine walking technique is used, it consumes a lot of Zifu's energy. During the battle, the assisting divine walking technique is extremely fast. Opponents with similar skills will basically be crushed by Wu Yu in terms of speed, but the consumption is also very high. It is large, and the speed of replenishing Zifu's Yuanli during battle is relatively slow, so it is not easy to last and cannot maintain the high speed of divine movement at all times. However, it can burst out with super speed in an instant, and sometimes it can also form a killing blow. Or, save yourself a life. The methods of using the holding technique, the violent technique, and the divine movement technique are all the same. They are all used as a last resort, and are used when the enemy is unexpected. Now, Wu Yu moves his body quickly in front of the sky-devouring demon mansion. It is indeed terrifyingly fast and difficult to distinguish with the naked eye. More often, he is just an afterimage, flitting around, especially when chasing in a straight line. At that moment when the speed reaches 5 times, it can be said that even Shenzhenjiao may not be that fast. Basically it just passed by in a flash. After figuring out the magic technique clearly and integrating it into the battle, Wu Yu calmed down and realized that the next difficult part was the fiery eyes. Dongxiu, Soul Refining, Sun Piercer, Golden Eye Realm, and Fire Wonderland. First start with Dongxiu. This magical power can even torture your own eyes. Moreover, it is not just a simple torture, it is a bit like an indestructible body. It needs to be forged, changed, and tempered again and again to form piercing eyes. The first step is to smoke. Moreover, it requires thick smoke, which requires the use of some materials for burning. Fortunately, Wu Yu brought a lot of fairy spirits with him, and some of them can be burned, and then the medicinal power can be applied to the eyes. Wu Yu had just tried that process, and even with the indestructible body forging his eyes, it was really miserable. Hard work pays off, hard work pays off. Who knows what will be waiting for him when he leaves this heaven-swallowing demon mansion. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 455. Wu Yu made a plan on his own. There is no spiritual energy at all in the Tian demon mansion, and the level is extremely low. Being trapped here, and all the Kanghai Yuan Kai pills in his body are exhausted, it is indeed very difficult to improve his level. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. In order to prepare for the appointment on that day, Wu Yu thought for a while and felt that during the trap time, he had better develop these two kinds of heavenly powers to a higher level. The divine movement technique is easy to master, and it didn't take long for Wu Yu to master it. He has also been able to fully understand the mystical arts of heaven and earth, including the dragon prisoning heaven technique, the 9 Sun Kang longsword formation, and the annihilation beast soul shaking technique. Wu Yu's remaining 2 skills require long-term polishing and practice, namely the lawless clone and the fiery eye. And these 2 magical powers happen to be Wu Yu's most critical abilities. Therefore, he basically stopped enlightening and expanding Zifu Kanghai for the time being, but spent a lot of time completely pondering these 2 heavenly powers. First, forge the fire eyes. This is a bit more painful. The difficulty of forging the blazing eyes was no less than that of forging an indestructible body. The pain in the eyes was sometimes even more unbearable. For many moments, Wu Yu thought he was completely blind. When you can't hold it any longer, your eyes must rest. At this time, it's time to close your eyes and concentrate on pondering the magical power of the outlaw clone. In recent battles, the extra-legal clones have played a huge role. Wu Yu summoned all the clones, and after a little bit of research and control, he couldn't affect Luo Ben anyway, so he simply controlled the extra-legal clones to fight. This is quite a test of the spirit. This is equivalent to Wu Yu having 100 bodies, all controlled by him. This is countless times more complicated than a person with 100 arms. Even if a person only has 3 arms, it is difficult to control the 3 arms to perform different movements. Wu Yu, on the other hand, controlled hundreds of clones at the same time, divided them into 2 groups, and then used the mystical arts of heaven and earth to engage in fierce fighting. To outsiders, each clone looks like an independent individual, adapting to changes in the battle. In fact, all the changes come from Wu Yu's control. This is the wonderful thing about Outlaw Doppelganger, and it is also the most difficult point. Wu Yu is currently at the 4th level. If he wants to reach the 5th level, he must have the mental will and proficiency to control 1,000 clones. This is almost as difficult as splitting the mind, so it is not easy to challenge the 5th level. As for the 5th to 6th levels, this is actually not difficult, it is just about raising the remaining 900 clones to a perfect state. The perfect state is the state of being on par with Wu Yu. After he ascended to the Zifa Kanghai realm, his clones were far from having enough Kanghai Yuankai pills to rise to his current level, so he now had extremely scarce Kanghai Yuankai pills. There is no end to the outlaw clones. I want to truly control these 100 clones as if they are all parts of my body. I can connect them with a finger, a blink of an eye, even their breathing, the tone of their words, their expressions and movements. Controlling them all to perfection, like a real person, is the pinnacle of success, and only then can you challenge the challenge of controlling thousands of clones. Going from 100 to 1000 is almost a huge transformation in his understanding of this extra-legal clone, and going from 1000 to 10,000 is even less so. This lawless clone will only become more terrifying as you go to the back. Wu Yu just wanted to have 1,000 clones and be perfectly controlled by them before he went to the Xuanhuan Immortal section. They can fight in groups, but each individual can have different reactions due to different combat objects and environments, and can even make wonderful, spiritually identical coordination with each other, just like the coordination between Wu Yu's left and right hands. Cooperate. The further he practiced this heavenly power, the more Wu Yu felt that in the process, his own soul had become more mature, and his thinking would also become more mature. In short, the extra-legal clone consumes brain power and mental energy, while the fiery eyes and golden eyes require pain and training. The two kinds of heavenly powers happen to have different consumption on Wu Yu, so Wu Yu can switch between them. When the pain became unbearable after training his sharp eyes, he began to control the clones to fight each other. When he was mentally exhausted, he began to practice his sharp eyesight. There is no doubt that his efforts at this moment have moved the only two people left in the heaven-devouring demon mansion, Luo Bin and Ming Long. But neither of them bothered Wu Yu. Being trapped in the heaven-swallowing demon mansion, without saying a word for a month, and being extremely quiet, this kind of environment is almost like being in seclusion, and it is unbearable for many people. There had been too many battles some time ago, and such a peaceful environment where no one would disturb him made Wu Yu feel much more simple and straightforward. Although the cultivation of the two heavenly powers is extremely hard, the rewards are huge. Wu Yu almost clearly felt that he was making progress every moment. This period of time was the best precipitation for him. 3 months later, fiery eyes and golden eyes, the first level, Dongxiu, Dacheng. When Wu Yu opened his eyes, he found that the whole world seemed different. He could see the subtle aura in the space. You can see the dust in the farthest corner of the sky-swallowing demon mansion. You can even see into the walls. In his eyes, a strange light golden symbol appeared at the core of the black pupil. What can be seen is that his eyes now possess a mind-blowing power. Perhaps no one in the entire divine continent has this kind of power. Bright eyes. When he arrived at the main hall and saw Luo Bin, he could see through the illusory river and sea beside Luo Bin at a glance. Luo Bin, who was sitting cross-legged in the river and sea at this time, was actually a snow-white dragon. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. Finally saw this dragon again. It must be said that this perfect creature is simply the most perfect creation in the whole world. Except for that piece of black reverse scale, the whole body is snow-white. This is the power of the fire eye and golden pupil. Even Luo Bin's body can't escape his eyes, so you can imagine the others. However, Wu Yu wanted to reach the second level and refine the soul. So after the success of Dongxiu, he almost did not hesitate to continue forging the fire eye and golden pupil, and this time it was more difficult and painful than the last time. He still exchanged the two kinds of heavenly magical powers from the Monkey King. The magical power of this great sage is so powerful. Aren't sages immortal? Why did he leave behind a legacy? And it has been a long, long time, much longer than the devouring demon ancestor. Could it be that he encountered misfortune? I have received his kindness. He made me. I am sincere and must be a person who knows how to repay his kindness. Therefore, if you need me in the future, I will definitely do my best. This is his fundamental principle of life. A drop of water must be returned with the spring. In the boring training, it is easy to drive people crazy sometimes. But whenever Wu Yu was lazy and wanted to give up, he thought of the hundreds of thousands of rolling words in Xuanhuan and the slap from Qiang's sword Immortal. He gritted his teeth and persisted. It was not easy for concubine Luo to completely inherit the original dragon scale, be reborn before death, and recover to her peak. The process was also very difficult, especially since the original dragon scale was not necessarily under her control, so there were several conflicts during this period, but concubine Luo persisted. Wu Yu saw that she was also such a determined person. They talked a lot to each other, but occasionally, a look at each other and a smile could give both sides motivation. Concubine Luo's eyes, like warm sea water, could sometimes really relax people, as if all their worries could not be hidden from her eyes and could be told to him in detail. Time flies, and a year has passed in the blink of an eye. In the life of cultivating Taoism, a year is actually just that, and many people retreat for 10 years. Of course, the efficiency of most people in 10 years may not be as high as Wu Yu. A year later, after 7 months of hard training, he had forged the fiery eyes and golden pupils to the second level of soul refining. There was no ups and downs, no sudden enlightenment, only gnashing teeth every moment to forge, hone, burn the eyes, and temper these eyes 1,000 times. The second level of soul refining can use the eyes to forge the soul of the enemy. Although Wu Yu has never tried it, he knows in his heart how terrifying the magical power he has achieved after 7 months of hard forging and enduring the pride of nowhere is. Of course, in the repeated killing and tempering of the lawless clones, Wu Yu's control over the clones has become more and more refined under the huge mental consumption. On the road to cultivation, enlightenment is very important, talent is very important, but persistent efforts and persistence, and a strong mind are actually more important. 8 months after the beginning of the practice of the lawless clone, it finally reached the 5th level, and Wu Yu condensed 1,000 clones. He stood outside the Devouring Heaven Demon Mansion and looked down from the Devouring Heaven Demon Mansion. Looking around, there were 1,000 Wu Yes, all exactly the same. You can imagine how shocking it was. Moreover, Wu Yu could make each clone have different expressions and movements. If they were separated, he would be equivalent to having thousands of eyes. It was difficult to find his original body among these 1,000 Wu Yes, unless his opponent had the same fire eyes and golden pupils as him. 2 months later, within more than 10 days after the success of the second level of the fire eyes and golden pupils, Wu Yu successfully upgraded the out-of-law clone to the 6th level, that is, the 900 clones that had just appeared had reached the level of perfection. After a year of hard work, both of the heavenly Dao magical powers had made great progress. The fire eyes and golden pupils were fine, but for the out-of-law clone, Wu Yu lacked a large number of Canghai Yuankai pills to allow his clones to achieve the purple mansion and reach the same level as him. With Wu Yu's experience, the clones did not need to comprehend, they only needed to follow the steps, and enough Canghai Yuankai pills were enough. This made Wu Yu realize that he only had 1 year left, and in the absence of money, he didn't know what else he could do. The 2 magical powers could no longer be continued. He had already reached his personal limit to cultivate to this level during this period. In the end, he was short of money again. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 456. What happens next is still a year away. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. How to use this year to be as efficient as the previous year has become the biggest problem he faces now. After the soul refining and thousands of clones are completed, he can almost confirm that there will be no progress in the remaining year in terms of magical power, so he can't rush this matter. Failure to understand Taoism and expand the Purple Mansion for a long period of time will have adverse consequences. There is no room for improvement in the mystical arts of heaven and earth, magical powers, and the transformation of earth evil spirits. In the remaining year, without the help of the ancient soul of Xuanhuan, it is best to refine elixirs and draw magic circles to achieve enlightenment. However, 1 year seems to be far from enough to break through to the purple. It's the second level of Fu Kanghai realm. Furthermore, without so many Kanghai Yuankai pills, even if I raise my clone to the current state, when I go out, I will basically have no time. Where can I find so many Kanghai Yuankai pills? He frowned and stood in the darkness, thinking. For him, this agreement in Shushan is so important. This is related to his lifelong monastic career and is the biggest demon in his heart now. He must settle everything clearly. With Nangang Wei, with Qiang Sword Immortal and Baishan Mo, and with the entire Shushan Immortal sect. Nangang Wei and Baishan Mo have been in Shushan Samsara Cave for another 3 years. There will be no tests there, and it will basically go smoothly. They will increase in number again. Going out at the current level, Wu Yu felt, was still quite dangerous. If you go there and can't fight Baishan Modu, it will become a joke in Shushan. This is a battle that cannot be lost at all. Reality can be so exciting sometimes. In the darkness, Wu Yu thought a lot. In fact, if he had not entered the heaven-swallowing demon mansion, he would have made greater progress. Maybe the Lord of Yanhuang City would let him stay in the Yanhuang Ancient Well for 3 years, and he could rush to the second place in the Kanghai realm of Zi Mansion. Heavy. In that case, although the realm is still far inferior to that of Baishan Mo Nangang Wei, she is more confident after all. Don't think too much. Looking at it now, you can only try your best. Anyway, you can't get out of this heaven-swallowing demon mansion for the time being. No matter how many ways you think of, it's all in vain. You are trapped here now. When the agreed time comes, it doesn't matter whether you can go out or not. Mingtong struck heartlessly. What you said makes sense. Being anxious inside will only disrupt my Taoist mind. Let the pursuit in the realm take its course. Although Wu Yu said this, the desire for survival in his heart was actually stronger than ever before. Then, he began to use the materials he had purchased before to make elixirs, and draw magic circles. When he couldn't be in a hurry, because he was a little irritable, the effect was not very good. The rate of making pills dropped a lot, and the magic circles failed one after another. There's something wrong with your mentality, Minglong said. How to solve it, Wu Yu asked. Forgot the so-called agreement, although I can't do it, haha, if I were you, I would have to kill him, leaving no trace of his armor behind, and let Nangang Wei kneel down and lick me. Mingtong smiled. Road. Abnormal. Thinking of that fiery girl, in fact she is also a fire, and Wu Yu is also a fire. Maybe it is this that prevents them from getting along with each other. But Wu Yu didn't hate her. If possible, he would also hope that Nangang Wei would have a better future and even become an immortal. Thinking of her words, Wu Yu calmed down a little. He continued to think about it, and then he started to make some progress. Wu Yu, come here. Suddenly he heard Luo Bin's call, and the soft voice rang in his ears. Wu Yu immediately headed towards the main hall, where Luo Bin had always been. She spent most of her time immersed in recovery and rarely spoke. She didn't know why she took the initiative to call her. After arriving at the courtyard in front of the main hall, the concubine Luo was still bathing in the sea water. In Wu Yu's fiery eyes, she was a white dragon hovering deep under the sea. She didn't open her eyes. It was obvious that the process was still going on and it was inconvenient to stop. However, she still called him under such circumstances, which was obviously because of something important. Wu Yu sat down on the steps in front of the main hall, which was very close to her. He looked at the white dragon in the blue phantom in front of him, and suddenly remembered that compared to Nangang Wei, Luo Bai was as pure as water, but tolerant of everything, and his own character in his bones. In fact, it was still as strong as fire, but he was often able to calm down when he was around her. Her peaceful face also makes people feel comfortable. Wu Yu, coming into the Tiantian demon mansion with me has wasted so much time, and even prevented you from trying your best to keep the 3-year appointment. I see that you have been a little impetuous these days. Do you regret coming in with me? Luo Bin closed her eyes, her long eyelashes quivering in the water, which was very moving. Wu Yu shook his head and said, "Of course not. I don't regret anything I decide. After making the choice, I can't make a conclusion now about what the future will be like. Furthermore, it can help you obtain the original dragon scales. Having someone like you friends, I think it's worth it." Although he was a little impetuous, he definitely had no regrets. And as he said, it's not necessarily a blessing or a curse. If you are still in Yanhuang Ancient Well, there is no need for you to be anxious now, Luo Bin said softly. Wu Yu said, "Actually, it's the same everywhere. Maybe it's because this matter is more important to me. However, I can't make a conclusion before that moment is reached." Luo Bin had achieved great success, and she was someone Wu Yu admired. "You treat me as a good friend, and I am in your favor, so you will not be shy in front of me, right?" Lupin suddenly said with a smile. In fact, Lupin's ability to obtain the original dragon scale is indeed closely related to Wu Yu. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading. For example, it was Wu Yu who first proposed to set the target in the ancient city. Wu Yu smiled dumbly and said, "Of course not." As soon as the voice fell, a samurai bag appeared beside Lupin, flying towards Wu Yu. Wu Yu stretched out his hand to catch it in astonishment. He did not expect Lupin to give him something. "I delayed you for 2 years. As a friend, I feel bad. This is my little thought." "You just said that you can't be shy," Lupin said. There was a slight smile on her face, which was particularly beautiful in the blue phantom of the river waves. Wu Yu stood up. The samurai bag was very heavy. He said, "No, I can't accept things from friends. Doesn't this mean that I came here to help you for these favors?" Since Lupin gave him these, Wu Yu knew without looking at her that there must be a lot of things. Lupin put away her smile and said, "You just said that you don't want to be distant with me, and I am just doing my best to be a friend and make up for my debt to you, so you don't need to be polite to me." She was decisive and firm. Wu Yu still felt that it was not good to accept these things for nothing, as it seemed that he came here with her for these things, but Lupin's attitude was too firm. He stared at her, thinking about how to refuse this great gift. Suddenly, he saw something familiar on Lupin's fair and delicate jade neck. He pinched the samurai bag and suddenly smiled and said, "Okay, then I'll treat this as a gift from you. However, I'll give you something in return, so you must accept it." Luo Bin was naturally happy to see that he had figured it out. She thought for a moment and realized that Wu Yu wouldn't have anything good, so she said without much thought, "That's fine." Unexpectedly, Wu Yu said directly, "Then, I hope that if we meet next time, Hai Xianling will still be in this position, okay?" His eyes fell on the blue ribbon on Luo Bin's jade neck. Luo Bin was startled, and she suddenly opened her eyes, looking at Wu Yu in a trance with her azure eyes. She actually didn't expect Wu Yu to make such a decision. Hai Xianling was his first Taoist weapon. Although it was not suitable for him, it was still a Taoist weapon. It was of great value. Even many Kanghai Yuan Kai pills couldn't buy it. So she agreed in advance. Although Wu Yu did not say it explicitly, he wanted Hai Xianling to be on her jade neck next time they met, which meant that he was giving it to her. There was another meaning, this was a parting gift. After Luo Bin recovered, the two of them were in different worlds. She would definitely leave, and it might be a long time before they met again. Parting gifts sometimes have more meaning than ordinary gifts. Even Ming Long stared at Wu Yu with wide eyes and said, "Okay, you are really spending a lot of money to pick up girls. In the blink of an eye, you gave away the most valuable thing on you. You loser, you really pissed me off." I've been so good to you, but you didn't give me a bird egg. In fact, Wu Yu did a lot of things at will without thinking too much. He knew that Hai Xian Ling was valuable, but this was his principle as a friend and his attitude as a man. Luo Ben gave him a gift, so he had to give him something decent in return, and the only decent thing on him was this Hai Xian Ling. In fact, Luo Ben had not untied the Hai Xian Ling because she was worried that there would be other accidents in the devouring heaven demon mansion. The Hai Xian Ling could give her some buffer time for the time being. She was going to return it to Wu Yu when she was stable. She opened her eyes, and her azure eyes stared at Wu Yu's fiery eyes. Perhaps, she could also feel a shocking spiritual power. Your eyes are different. Is it the result of your efforts during this period? Luo Ben murmured. Yes, Wu Yu nodded. Luo Ben stared at him, as if intoxicated by these eyes. This young man made her feel very special. She had never seen someone like Wu Yu. In fact, the gap between Wu Yu's current realm and her real realm was too big, but his inner pride was not inferior to hers at all. Luo Ben was actually just helping him out of the predicament first, but in fact he was very proud in his heart, so he took out a gift that surpassed the value of this generation of sumi bag. Moreover, the parting gift was of extraordinary significance. Obviously, every time she noticed the existence of Hai Xian Ling on her neck, she would think of Wu Yu. This passionate, firm, and unshakable young man. Confused, she nodded and said, "Okay, I'll take it." Wu Yu felt her respect for him. He smiled. "Then I'll accept these treasures." At a glance, the number of Canghai Yuan Kai pills inside exceeded Wu Yu's imagination. There's a chance for his clone. Even, there's a chance for him to reach a higher realm. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 457. After exchanging gifts, Luo Ben continued to restore her former peak cultivation, and her progress seemed good. Wu Yu returned to the open space outside the heaven-devouring demon mansion. With gratitude and excitement, he carefully examined the sumuru bag that Luo Ben brought him. First of all, she must have known that the most scarce thing for her was the top-grade elixir, Canghai Yuan Kai pill. The space of the sumuru bag was enough to hold a mountain. Luo Ben made a move, and the sumuru bag alone was actually a super spiritual weapon, and it was very valuable. The Na character formation diagram was very stable. Sometimes even if people died in battle, the sumuru bag might not explode. When the sumuru bag was opened, a vast elixir gas almost made Wu Yu faint. There were too many. It was impossible to see clearly at a glance how many Canghai Yuan Kai pills were in it. There was simply an ocean in it. At this point, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. It took Wu Yu a long time just to count these Canghai Yuan Kai pills. Luo Ben was so generous that there were 50,000 Canghai Yuan Kai pills in the sumi bag. Wu Yu's wealth at its peak was only about 8,000. This time it broke through to 50,000. When he counted them, his heart was trembling. It seems that I didn't lose out by giving her Hai Xian Ling. Hai Xian Ling is just an ordinary Taoist weapon. 50,000 Canghai Yuan Kai pills. That's 50 million merits. In short, most Shushan sword saints may have the same resources as Wu Yu. For example, the Red Shadow Sword Saint may not be richer than Wu Yu. Although there are now 1,000 clones, Wu Yu is densely packed around them, but it takes less than 50,000 to upgrade them to his current realm. After all, the elixir needed for the clone to break through the tempering is actually much worse than the original body. He directly differentiated all the clones and asked them to use the Canghai Yuan Kai pill to break the golden elixir and expand the purple mansion. Each clone is a wisp of Wu Yu's mind. It still takes some energy to control them to temper the golden elixir. The Kanghai Yuan Kai pill required by the clones was solved, but Luo Bin gave much more than that. Although she didn't say much, she knew what Wu Yu needed. On the other side of the Sumi bag, there are many immortals, treasures and other materials for alchemy and drawing magic arrays, blank talisman paper, treasures for refining tools, immortals for alchemy, everything is available. The highest level of immortals and treasures has reached 5 spiritual patterns, and there are many of them. If you want to buy these materials, it is estimated that it will cost several thousand Kanghai Yuan Kai pills. Looking at this vast amount of materials, Wu Yu deeply understood that even if he made pills and drew magic arrays here for several years, he might not be able to use them all up. But Luo Bin was still more careful than he thought. Before the many materials, there were 2 very important things. They were 2 thick books. They were as thick as 1 foot, and each book had tens of thousands of pages. One of them was called Dragon Clan Alchemy Classic. After flipping through it, Wu Yu was shocked. It recorded many alchemy secrets of the Shenlong clan, which contained various methods of refining pills. The best elixirs were the simplest ones. At the same time, for each kind of pill, there were also many alchemy experiences of Shenlong predecessors, which were very critical. Although Shenlong was a fairy beast and had some common origins with demons, its attainments in alchemy and magic arrays were much stronger than ordinary demons, and even surpassed human cultivators. The Dragon Clan Alchemy Classic is all-encompassing. Even the Kanghai Yuan Kai pill has thousands of methods for refining. Wu Yu flipped through it a little bit and saw that there were many elixirs that needed 7 or 8 spirit patterns to be refined. They were all elixirs that shocked the world and made ghosts weep. This really scared him. In short, the value of this Dragon Clan Alchemy Classic alone is incomparable to Hai Zinling's artifact. After all, with this Dragon Clan Alchemy Classic, Wu Yu may never have to exchange other alchemy secrets in Yanhuang Emperor City again. All the methods for refining elixirs that exist in the world may exist here. The Dragon Clan Alchemy Classic is very remarkable, but another book makes Wu Yu feel that he is a bit stingy for giving Hai Zinling away. That is Dragon God Ancient Array. Of course, there are various methods for drawing arrays and the experience and annotations of the predecessors of the Shenlong clan for countless years. Many arrays here were first created by the ancestors of the Shenlong clan, and they have not been circulated outside. Of course, it also includes most of the arrays that exist in the land of Shenzhou today, including talisman arrays, magic weapon arrays, heaven and earth arrays, puppets, and mechanical arrays. There are tens of thousands of arrays, and every page is densely recorded. Generally speaking, Dragon God Ancient Array is a secret book of the Dragon Clan, and it is absolutely not passed on. Luo Bin can give this domineering thing to Wu Yu, which shows her intention and gratitude to Wu Yu. After all, they are all the originals of the arrays, and some of them are real arrays that need to be drawn by the soul. They are extremely precious. Its value is even more than Hai Zinling. For Wu Yu, although these 2 things cannot increase combat power for the time being, in the long run, such treasures have incredible and significant effects. For example, the simplest point is that Wu Yu originally thought that it would be impossible for him to rush to the 2nd level of the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm before leaving the Devouring Heaven Demon Mansion, but now, he feels that there may be hope. He put these away, feeling a little ashamed. He stared in Luo Bin's direction, hesitating whether to return such an expensive gift to her. I don't think it's necessary. You think it's precious, but to her, it's just some simple things. It's like you gave those people of the Tongtian sword sect a lot of resources. You think they are ordinary things, but to them they are nothing. Precious. Moreover, this is also her intention, and you have given it your own. If you are fussy about sending it back now, it would appear that you are too stingy. If I were you, I would try harder to give this little female dragon a precious gift in the future. Otherwise, how could we ride a dragon to the sky? This chapter is not over, Please click on the next page to continue reading. As expected of Mingtaki, he can talk about such a serious matter and even involve riding a dragon to the sky. However, she did have a point. She had already accepted the gifts. What she should be thinking about now was what else she could bring her concubine to give her in the future, rather than the fact that she couldn't afford the gift now. The question is, after leaving the heaven-swallowing demon mansion, can I still meet her? The worlds they live in are different, and she will eventually return to her world. From this moment on, Wu Yu had goals and passion again, and his heart became much purer. In addition to controlling the clones to temper the Kanghai Yuankai pill, he spent all his time and energy doing three things. First, alchemy. Of course, he studied the alchemy techniques in the Dragon Clan Alchemy Code, and used the materials and alchemy furnaces that Luo Bin carefully prepared for himself. Second, copying the magic formation, of course, is also the Dragon God Ancient formation, and it also involves the Talisman Magic formation, the Magical Weapon formation, and the Heaven and Earth formation. Third, use Kanghai Yuankai pill to expand Zifa Kanghai. Of course, the first and second types have a high probability of failure, so the materials are in a state of consumption and it is difficult to recover the money. The advantage is that these two processes continuously and greatly hone inner focus and perseverance, and even more being able to comprehend the insights and wisdom of his predecessors when he was refining alchemy and drawing a copy of the magic circle. This process was not boring. Under Wu Yu's innocent heart, whether he was refining alchemy or drawing a magic circle, it had a huge impact on his enlightenment. With help, his Zi mansion grew rapidly. Maybe there is hope that we can break through to the Zifa Kanghai realm within a year. By then, we will at least be more confident about going to Shushan. Having accidentally arrived at the heaven-swallowing demon mansion, Wu Yu was not willing to waste his time like this. This time is even better, with the gifts from the concubine, everything he needs is basically available here, and it is quieter here. It is really a good environment for retreat. And the beauty is by his side. As time goes by and Luo Bin recovers, the snow-white dragon becomes more and more beautiful in Wu Yu's eyes. The gradually recovered Luo Bin looks like the most beautiful creation in the world, like a gem and pearl. Many times Wu Yu Mingzi lost his composure and couldn't control himself. He was a little suffocated. After all, he now has sharp eyes and can see more than ordinary people. Luo Bin is very sacred in Wu Yu's heart, and her beauty at this moment cannot be desecrated. In this dark, silent Tian demon mansion, time flows away slowly and humidly like a stinking ditch in the darkness. Without Wu Yu and Luo Bin, Yanhuang Emperor City was still so lively. In the outer city, monks from all over the continent gathered here to gather, trade, and collect information. The outer city is almost the most well-informed place on the divine continent. What happens in various places in the divine continent can actually be easily conveyed here. For example, some time ago, news seemed to come from the inner city that two people seemed to be missing, namely Luo Bin and Wu Yu. No one knew the details. After all, they were in the city lord's palace. In the city lord's palace, how could he disappear? Anyway, people find it incredible. The true truth of this matter will definitely not be spread so widely. After all, most people do not know the existence of Yanhuang Ancient Well. The inner city will not change because of this incident. The only people who will be seriously affected are probably the people of Kishan Camp. Some time ago, there were just some rumors, but Jiang Xuechuan arrived a few days ago and told them with a heavy expression that maybe in a few days, new centurions will be assigned to Kishan Camp, which almost means that Wu Yu is gone. By then, the name Kishaning will also disappear. This made the Yanhuang immortal army in Kishan Camp confused. Everyone chased Jiang Xuechuan and asked, but Jiang Xuechuan couldn't ask anything. The same situation happened in the other side of the Mosasaurus camp, but the people in the Mosasaurus camp didn't react like this. Seriously, they don't act together all year round, and they don't have much friendship with each other, so they don't pay much attention to who the centurion is. It is said that Wu Yu is dead, Wu Tianyu and others suddenly heard someone say when they were receiving tasks from Yi Palace in the inner city. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 458. The Zifukanghai realm of Kishan Camp formed a small team on their own, and they also performed tasks together on weekdays and earned merit. There are experienced veterans here, as well as young and energetic figures such as Wu Tianyu, Fang Kaoken, and Zhen Yu. Although they have the status of ordinary Yanhuang immortal army, they can actually become centurions in a short time. They just need to pass the test. The team has been feeling down lately. There are many people in Yi Palace. Basically, everyone is looking for tasks. There are also casual people who meet by chance. They are in a good mood and chat together. When he heard these harsh words, Qi Tianying stopped and looked over there. He saw more than 30 people gathered at the door of Yi Palace. They should have just received a good team task. At this time, they were in a good mood. It's fun. It turns out they are old acquaintances. Fang Kaoken and the others knew these people when they were on the Kanghai Dao sect mission in the East China Sea. They were from Kangsong Camp, but because Chen Kangsong died in the battle, they changed their names to Centurions, and now they are called by Fire Camp. This is really strange. It was the news from above. I don't know who revealed it. Anyway, it said that Wu Yu and the concubine Luo disappeared in a place in the city lord's mansion. The city lord's mansion covers everything. I have never been inside, but I can imagine that it is definitely not as simple as it looks from the outside, otherwise those geniuses would not have squeezed their heads to get in. It's not surprising. I guess the city lord's mansion also has its tests. It's just that Wu Yu and Luo Bin couldn't stand the test and died. At least Qin Fui came out. Someone asked Qin Fui doesn't seem to know where the two of them have gone. I haven't seen Qin Fui these days. Is it possible for you to meet someone like her when you meet her? You must not know in which noble place she is being tested or cultivated. Now the whole world is spreading rumors about Wu Yu and Luo Bin. It seems that the higher authorities have not come out to refute the rumors. I wonder who spread the news. Then Wu Yu and Luo Bin are really dead, right? Yan Zhan, he didn't even die, but he died in the city lord's palace, which is a bit ridiculous. It's absolutely true, almost certain. I heard that new centurions have been assigned to Kishan Camp and Mosasaurus Camp in the past few days. If Wu Yu and the others were not dead, how could they assign new ones? Is this serious? Everyone got excited about the discussion, and suddenly saw Fang Kaoken and others coming out of Yi Palace. Everyone looked at each other, sneered secretly, walked forward, surrounded Fang Kaoken and others, and a tall middle-aged man from the Kanghai realm of Zifu came out among them. Taking advantage of the large number of people, they asked with a smile, "Brothers from Kishan Camp, let me ask you a question. It is said that your Kishan Camp will soon change its centurion, and Wu Yu disappeared inexplicably. Is this true? Is it only half a year? They have been there for more than 2 years, and even the first 3 emperors who entered the city lord's palace have come out. Why haven't they come out yet? Did they die in the city lord's palace? Perhaps the offended city lord was executed?" Speaking of the latter part, the people of the Baiwo camp laughed. They were suppressed by Wu Yu in the East China Sea, and they still had resentment in their hearts. Now of course they have to show off their power when they have the opportunity. After all, Kishan Camp has lost a centurion just like them. Long. Wu Tianyu, who had a hot temper, was very depressed during this period. Hearing their ridicule and laughter, he suddenly became angry and said angrily, "Stop talking nonsense. Commander Wu is the number 1 in Yanzhan. How can he die so easily? He is respected by the city lord and is just cultivating in the city lord's mansion." Everyone on the other side laughed even more wildly, and one of them shouted at the top of his voice, "Oh, yes, you are right, he is definitely not dead, he is still alive and kicking." "Then I have to ask you, why are you at Kishan camp? It's time to change your name, you're going to be a centurion." "Yes, according to the rules of our Yanhuang immortal army, how could we inexplicably change you to a centurion? You know whether Wu Yu is dead or not, so don't argue with us. Now the whole Yanhuang Emperor city is saying that they seem to be dead. Even our centurions say so, and even many thousand captains say so, but the emperor, it seems that Shui didn't come out to refute the rumors, nor did any generals come out to deny it. They talked in a flurry, making the Yanhuang immortal army in Kishan camp look livid." "Shut up," they shouted angrily, with great momentum. In fact, although they were few in number, they were all elites. If they fought, they might not lose. "Oh, you still want to take action? If you take action in the inner city, aren't you afraid of being directly expelled from the Yanhuang Emperor city and deprived of your status as the Yanhuang Immortal Army? Come on, slap us in the face, you idiots should have left this Yanhuang Emperor city long ago." Seeing the anger of Qi Tianying and others, not only were they not afraid, but they laughed even more wildly, attracting many onlookers, pointing and discussing Wu Yu's disappearance or even death. "What are you doing? They're all gone." Jiang Xuechuan suddenly appeared with a serious expression and shouted loudly. Seeing that it was the captain, the people from the Jade Fire camp glared at them and left in despair. Jiang Xuechuan looked indifferent, and after evacuating the crowd, he left. Zhen Yu winked at everyone, followed quickly, and asked in a sweet voice, "Commander Jiang, we just want to know, are what they said true? Has something really happened to our Commander Wu? How did this happen?" Of Jiang Xuechuan's face was serious, but it was pitiful to see Zhen Yu, a little girl with tears in her eyes. He sighed helplessly and said, "This matter is confidential and has caused enough trouble. Don't ask any more questions. You should just go back and do it yourself. Cultivation is important." Jiang Xuechuan seemed inconvenient to say more, but in fact, he himself was not clear about the details. He asked several generals, which also made him ask more questions. In fact, he also learned another thing these days. After Qin Fuwei came out of the city lord's mansion, it was said that she behaved a little strangely. Today, a year later, she disappeared. In fact, she has been missing for several months. It was only recently that General Qin realized that he could not contact her. In the past few days, several generals have been searching all over the world, even deep into the endless Demon Sea, but they have not received any news about Qin Fuwei. General Qin was very depressed and irritable because of this matter. Jiang Xuechuan had just been angry with him. Under General Qin's order, he also had to go out to look for Qin Fuwei until he found her. No one really knows why Qin Fuwei disappeared. Zhen Yu was not willing to accept it. She gritted her teeth and asked, "Then I don't want to ask for details. We just want to know whether Commander Wu is alive or not. If he is dead, are you sure?" This question. Jiang Xuechuan shook his head and said, "Actually, I don't know. This matter is complicated and there are some secrets that I don't know. However, Wu Yu is a lucky person. Maybe he is alive. Maybe he is alive." After that, Jiang Xuechuan didn't want to say more and walked away quickly. Zhen Yu was in a state of despair and returned to the crowd. Everyone looked at her dejectedly. "Let's go back to Kishan camp," Fang Kaoken suggested. Everyone lowered their heads and returned like zombies. After them, this Kishan camp would no longer be Kishan camp in a few days. The beauty and desire of the past seemed to be hidden in the heart. In fact, the discussion about the whereabouts of Wu Yu and Luo Bin was not only here, but also in the major sects and forces in Shenzhou. In fact, this hotly rumored issue was discussed. For example, the Shushan Immortal sect, which paid the most attention to Wu Yu. Maybe it was because Wu Yu was too dazzling in Yanhuang Emperor City that many people in Shushan Xianmen hated him. Wu Yu was an abandoned disciple of Shushan. The more powerful he was, the more Shushan would lose face. How could those who loved Shushan Xianmen tolerate this? As time passed, the storm did not subside in Shushan. Instead, it became more heated as the agreed date gradually approached. Shushan disciples often gathered together to discuss. It is said that Baishan Mo was in seclusion, and he is about to come out now. The date he agreed with Wu Yu is coming soon. It's a pity that he will be very depressed after coming out. Who knew that Wu Yu would die halfway, making him wait in vain? You don't know the trick. I think this matter is far from that simple. Wu Yu must be unsure and worried about coming back to embarrass himself or even lose his life, so he used the excuse of disappearance to get away with it. When time passes, you will see that he will definitely show up. This person is Sun Zi. No way, even the senior figures of Yanhuang Emperor City don't seem to deny this. According to the news, it seems that he disappeared in the mysterious city lord's mansion. Maybe, the inheritance was taken away by the people of Yanhuang Emperor City. This kid is so stupid. Do you think that the strong people in all places are as kind as our Shushan? Now, maybe the body is gone. I don't agree. The city lord of Yanhuang Emperor City is still very powerful. He doesn't think highly of Wu Yu. Besides, how big can the city lord's mansion be? Can it be to the point of disappearing? He is just hiding. Let's wait and see. Wu Yu will appear eventually, but he will come back in disgrace when the time comes. Shushan is paying attention to Wu Yu. Once in the battlefield of life and death, they all witnessed that scene, and witnessed Wu Yu being taken away from his disciple Talisman and expelled from Shushan. Unexpectedly, Wu Yu immediately turned to Yanhuang Emperor City and became a traitor abandoned by everyone, which made people hate him. But I didn't expect that he would become famous in Yanzhen. At that time, it really caused a certain amount of pressure on Shushan. Let the land of China laugh at Shushan for letting such a genius go. Therefore, the Shushan Immortal sect is under even greater pressure. As a result, defeating Wu Yu or even killing Wu Yu on the agreed day has become the desire of most disciples of Shushan Immortal section. As long as Wu Yu exists, he will always be a stain on Shushan. Therefore, some people say, it's just right that Wu Yu died. If he didn't die, Baishan Mo would definitely give him a break that day and revive the glory of my Shushan Immortal sect. Let this traitor suffer retribution. Even if he hides, Baishan Mo will always find him and fight him. At that time, I wonder if Nangong Wei will still be obsessed with this boy. In fact, they didn't know that on that day, the senior leaders of Shushan were waiting for Baishan Mo and Nangong Wei to come out of the reincarnation cave. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 459. Shushan Fairyland. This is the highest place in Qingtian Shushan, and it is also the place close to the heavenly palace in the legend. In fact, the so-called being able to see the heavenly palace is a rather exaggerated statement. Shushan Fairyland is the highest part of Qingtian Shushan. Only the Shushan Sword Saint can come up here and is qualified to practice here. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow circled M. This is a very steep snowy mountain, with snow flying everywhere, and the wind rolling up the snow and whistling wildly. Mortals will definitely not be able to survive here. However, this is indeed the place with the most abundant spiritual energy in the entire Shenzhou land. In the whistling wind and snow, there are dozens of palaces built on the steep mountain walls, embedded in them. Even if the wind and snow are raging, these buildings are as still as a mountain, and even the wind chimes hanging on the eaves are not moving at all. These are the sword palaces of the Sword Saint. Standing in the Shushan Immortal Domain, looking down, you can see the vast rivers of Shenzhou and the very far away places. The mortal sword domain below seems very small. If you look up at the sky, it is a light gray turbidity. It is said that even the 7 immortals of Xuanhuan have not been able to pass through this endless mixed-color chaotic fog. In fact, there have been countless cultivators who have tried their best to fly upwards, trying to pass through this endless mixed-color turbid fog and reach the legendary heavenly palace with mortal bodies, but since ancient times, no one has succeeded. They will lose their way in this turbidity, or even die strangely, or lose their lives in the turbidity. After death, their bodies will fall from the sky. If Wu Yu came to such a high place, he would definitely be disappointed, because the peak of the Qingtian Shushan, his dream place, is still far away from the heaven. The heaven is above the endless sky. Only those who have truly attained the Tao can become immortals. On the highest peak of the Shushan immortal domain, there is a door. It is an ancient wooden door with a circle carved on it, which symbolizes reincarnation. Beside this peak, there are several people floating around, staring at the circle intently. There are not many people here, but they are all important figures in Shushan, such as Zinc Sword Saint Shenzhenjiao, Shuohua Sword Saint, and the Suanji Sword Saint who usually guards the Wuji Sword Sea. The leader is Nangong Xian, one of the 7 immortals of Shushan and the youngest Qiang Sword Immortal. Nangong Xian is handsome and upright, with eyebrows like sword edges. The wind and snow are everywhere here, and the wind is howling, but it only gently blows his hair and cannot shake his heart. Everyone's expression is solemn. After a while, Qiang Sword Immortal looked at the position of the sun in the sky and nodded, saying, "It seems that the time is almost up. They will be sent out soon." When the voice just fell, the wooden door creaked, and a solemn black-haired young man gently pushed open the wooden door. It can be seen that there is only a small wooden house inside, which seems to be nothing special. The young man walked out of the wooden house, his spirits high. Behind him was a girl in a red skirt with an indifferent face. The girl's eyes flashed with 9 colored flames, as if a phoenix was flying in her eyes. These two people are naturally Baishan Mo and Nangong Wei. In the past few years, they have matured a lot in appearance. Of course, in terms of strength, they have reached an incredible realm. Even Qiang Sword Immortal smiled knowingly when he saw them for the first time, saying, "Seeing you, I am full of confidence in the future of Shushan. In the future, Shenzhou will only be the world of you two. The day when Shushan rises again and becomes the first in Shenzhou is just around the corner." If he was not satisfied with these two young people, Qiang Sword Immortal would not be so emotional. Behind him, Shenzhenjiao, Shuohua Sword Saint, Suanji Sword Saint and others also showed shocked expressions, and their eyes looking at the two young people were a little different. Shenzhenjiao is the first genius of their age. He can reach the level of the 7 immortals of Shushan in the future, but compared with these two young people, he thinks he is not as good as them. At least at their age, he is far from their realm. Baishan Mo smiled proudly and said, "We can have such a huge breakthrough now, all thanks to the 7 masters who sent us into the reincarnation cave again and guided us carefully. This is all the credit of the 7 masters. Sister Nangong and I are just lucky." Nangong Wei looked around in silence, probably ready to leave. "Wire, how do you feel? I didn't expect that you can maintain the same realm as Xiao Mo. It seems that you have gained a lot in the reincarnation cave." Qiang Sword Immortal looked at his daughter with a smile, and the more he looked, the more satisfied he was. Nangong Wei once lagged behind Baishan Mo for a while, but soon caught up. Yeah, ever since Shushan exiled Wu Yu, Nangong Wei has been in this state. Even Qiang Sword Immortal couldn't make her smile or feel more relaxed. This is actually the reason why Qiang Sword Immortal is even more dissatisfied with Wu Yu, and even a little resentful. At least his daughter was not like this before. Nangong Wei's indifference gave Baishan Mo and Qiang Sword Immortal a headache. Baishan Mo hurriedly said, "That's natural. Sister Nangong works much harder than me, and her understanding is extraordinary. She has helped me many times during her training in the Samsara cave." After he finished speaking, he looked at Nangongwei, but Nangongwei didn't express anything. Baishan Mo was helpless. Whenever this time, resentment towards Wu Yu would emerge in his heart. Thinking of Wu Yu, he was about to ask Qiang Sword Immortal if after asking about Wu Yu's recent situation, Qiang Sword Immortal said directly, "Xiao Mo, something happened to Wu Yu, and I must tell you." "What?" Bei Shanmo asked. Hearing this, Nangongwei also looked over. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Qiang Sword Immortal said, "You go inside the Samsara cave first. I told you before that Wu Yu won the first place in the Yanzuan and has the qualification to enter the Yanhuang Ancient Well in Yanhuang Emperor City for half a year. However, a few months ago there was a sudden news. According to the news, Wu Yu and another person named Luo Bin disappeared in the Yanhuang Ancient Well. The Yanhuang Ancient Well is as mysterious as the Reincarnation Cave, and the Yanhuang City Lord has no control over the Yanhuang Ancient Well. This time, according to past experience, they disappeared. Look, I'm afraid he will never appear again, so he should be considered dead." This news, in general, makes Qiang Sword Immortal happy. Although it is impossible for Baishan Mo to defeat Wu Yu and settle her daughter's worries, at least Wu Yu's death will be easier. Wu Yu once gave Xuanhuan immortal. As time goes by, people will always forget the stain caused by the door. After all, people will no longer brag about a genius who died young. So he chose to tell the two young men directly. Wu Yu joined Yanhuang Emperor City and won the first place in the Yanzan War. To be honest, Xuanhuan became the object of ridicule for a while. After learning the news, many people cheered. The only regret was that Baishan Mo was not allowed to kill Wu on the spot. "You this traitor." After hearing the news, Bei Shanmo looked a little ugly and said, "How is this possible? It might be a smoke bomb released over there. I know the Samsara cave is dangerous, but it won't kill us. Wu Yu may not be dead. If he dies, then my agreement with him. He has absolute confidence in himself. In comparison, he naturally hopes that he can defeat Wu Yu under the witness of the entire divine continent. Of course, the most important thing is to show Nangongwei." As for Nangongwei, after hearing the news, her eyes twitched and she stared at Qiang Sword Immortal. This was a silent question and suspicion. When she heard the news at first, she didn't believe it. She didn't believe that Wu Yu would die like this. Qiang Sword Immortal waved his hand and said, "This matter has been spread all over the world. It is not convenient for the Yanhuang Emperor City to reveal the Yanhuang Ancient Well, so the news is a bit vague, but at least it is certain that when it reaches this level, there will be no people come out to refute the rumors, which means something is definitely wrong. You said that the smoke bomb is actually unnecessary. The people in Yanhuang Emperor City are the most unwilling to use these small tricks. The possibility of Wu Yu's death. It's over 90%. In this case, it will be difficult to have any hope of survival." Baishan Mo felt quite depressed and couldn't help but said angrily, "Wu Yu, an incompetent person, can't even survive a fight with me. He deserves to die. It's just that I have been preparing for this for so long." He had originally imagined that he would defeat Wu Yu in an upright manner and wipe out all the slander that Wu Yu, the traitor, had against Xuanhuan, and also to prove himself in front of Nangongwei, but now he has failed. When she said this, Nangongwei suddenly left and went down. Everyone was startled. Baishan Mo was about to chase her. Qiang Sword Immortal stopped him and said, "Let her calm down for a while. This is actually good news. If we follow the agreement, come, Wu Yu has an emperor and commander accompanying him. You may not be able to kill him. Now that he is dead, Wei will always forget him as time goes by. 1 year is not enough, only 10 years. A dead person cannot compete with you. There is no one else in the world who can compete with you for her. Thank you, Sixth Master, for your guidance." Baishan Mo thought about it carefully and felt that this was indeed a good thing. Moreover, even Qiang's sword Immortal supported him so much, and the entire Xuanhuan sect and all living beings in the world felt that he and Nangongwei were a perfect match. Once Wu Yu dies, no one can stop him. Everything happens sooner or later. Baishan Mo thought about it carefully. A few years later, he became the supreme of Xuanhuan. Nangongwei, as his Taoist companion, assisted him in leading the rise of Xuanhuan Immortal sect, surpassing Shangyuan Taoism and Yanhuang Emperor City, and exterminating demons. That's quite wonderful. He finally asked, so, do I still need to prepare for that day? Qiang's sword Immortal said, let's prepare a little. At least there is no definite news of death now, so we just have to be ourselves. Regardless of whether he can't arrive that day or whether he dies or not, we will set up a battle array and wait for him. Chapter 5 today. There are still 2 chapters left to write, probably until about 12 o'clock. If you can't wait, you can watch it tomorrow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 460. Outside, the wind and clouds were surging, but Wu Yu had no idea. Inside the heaven-devouring demon mansion, as long as he and Luo Ben did not make any sound, it was almost dead silent. Wu Yu placed the alchemy furnace, the refining furnace and other materials and tools directly on the ground, and placed 2 books on the alchemy and magic array secrets of the dragon clan directly on the ground, just hungry and thirsty, enriching himself. What was even more spectacular was that there were thousands of clones around him, neatly arranged, sitting cross-legged on the ground, breaking the golden elixir and expanding the purple mansion with the same movements and progress. During the whole process, Wu Yu consumed 18,000 Kanghai Yuankai pills, so that all these thousands of clones achieved the realm of the purple mansion Kanghai realm, and their magic power was close to his level. Comparing with the clones, Wu Yu had the advantages of physical body, great Dao magical power and earthly evil transformation technique. Thousands of clones in the purple mansion Kanghai realm look spectacular. Wu Yu used to lead troops to fight. He knows very well how miraculous the effect of 1,000 soldiers who are in tune with each other and completely controlled by him can be in the attack. There are more than 30,000 Kanghai Yuankai pills left, which seems to be a lot, but Wu Yu knows that if he continues to develop like this, especially in terms of clones, he needs to equip various magic tools and learn various heaven and earth mystical arts, and the money or achievements required are astronomical. More than 30,000 Kanghai Yuankai pills may not last long. Now this clone army is neat and uniform, and Wu Yu himself is looking forward to what effect these clones can produce if they are used in actual combat. However, he still concentrates on refining pills, drawing magic arrays, and expanding the purple mansion Kanghai, enriching himself while honing and pondering the insights of his predecessors. This process is boring and extremely uncomfortable. If he hadn't been determined to become an immortal, if there was not a very important battle, he might not be able to sit here. But, this is cultivating immortals. Luck and perseverance are the most important parts, and they are comparable to talent. And talent is actually included in luck. Time passed very slowly. Sometimes Wu Yu felt that he had been refining the elixir for 10 days, but in fact only 1 day had passed. Because he was too focused, he even forgot the date many times and had to ask Luo Ben. But Luo Ben has always been very important, and he can't always disturb her. Because the agreed day is getting closer anyway, Wu Yu estimated that the time is approaching, and his mood will fluctuate at this time. Probably more than a year has passed. Refining elixir, magic array, purple mansion, 3 itineraries. After having Dragon Clan Alchemy Classic and Dragon God Ancient Array, he seemed to have received enlightenment. His ability to refine elixir and draw magic array has greatly improved, and he can be said to be invincible in the same age group. So far, Wu Yu's success rate in refining pills has greatly increased. In this year, he has refined a total of 31 types of pills, with a total of 10,000 pills, with various effects. Most of them are top-grade elixirs. If they are sold, it is estimated that they can be exchanged for more than 5,000 Canghai Yuankai pills. This is all due to the Dragon Clan Alchemy Classic. According to Wu Yu's previous level, it would be good if he could sell 500 Canghai Yuankai pills for the pills he refined in a year. He gained more in the field of magic arrays. Although they were all copied, there were too many high-level dragons in the Dragon God Ancient Array who understood the magic array. From their notes, Wu Yu made rapid progress in this regard. After 1 year of hard practice, he surpassed others who studied the magic array for 30 years. So far, he has mastered the production of many talismans, magic tools, and the layout of the heaven and earth array. Among them, in terms of magic tools, he has refined a super spiritual magic tool. It was a sword, all black, a little ugly, but very powerful. The main formation was the Black Flame Dragon formation, which was carved by Wu Yu stroke by stroke, and finally succeeded, with the quality reaching the level of super spiritual instruments for Shenzhou. Wu Yu was the only one who could refine super spiritual instruments at his age. This was also the guidance of many dragons in the ancient dragon god formation. The great success brought by Luo Ben in these two aspects directly led to Wu Yu's rapid progress in enlightenment. His progress was rapid and steady, which was very rare. The Purple Mansion Sea in Danshan continued to grow, and the Purple Mansion Fire and Purple Mansion Force were increasing, becoming more and more powerful. However, even for the most powerful genius, it is not easy to cross a Purple Mansion realm within a year, not to mention that Wu Yu's Purple Mansion is different from others. Therefore, when the time was approaching, he felt that he was infinitely close to the second level of the Purple Mansion Sea realm, but it seemed that there was always a key missing, and it was this key that made him stay in the first level of the Purple Mansion Sea realm. If I can reach the second level of the Purple Mansion Canghai realm, no matter how much progress Baishan Mo makes, at least I will have more initiative. Unfortunately, it's always a little short. So in the past year, I have put in so much effort, but I'm still a little short. If I have another 3 or 4 months, I will definitely succeed. But now I don't have such a long time. Although he was a little vague about the date, Wu Yu intuitively felt that the day seemed to be not far away. Maybe it might have passed. I remember the date, there are still 16 days. Just as Wu Yu frowned for the date, Luo Ben's voice suddenly rang in his ears. 16 days. Wu Yu, have you reached the second level of the Purple Mansion Canghai realm? Luo Ben asked in the main hall. Her voice seemed to be a little more relaxed. Could it be that? Wu Yu put away his many clones and stood up. At this moment, a light blue figure flashed out from the gate of the Devouring Heaven Demon Mansion. The beautiful Luo Ben came out and looked at Wu Yu with a smile. Although the smile was very faint, it also touched the heart. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. She actually finished. Has she fully recovered? Wu Yu hurriedly asked in surprise, did you succeed? Luo Ben gently moved in front of him, and a fragrant breeze came to his nose. This woman who was like a deep sea looked at him gently and said softly, I was injured too badly, and now I have only recovered about 20%. It will take at least 10 years to fully recover to the original state. However, you don't have to worry. The reason why I stopped at this time is to give you the last half month. I am about 70% sure that I can break out at this time. 20%, that is, 1/5. Wu Yu was somewhat shocked. In his eyes, Luo Ben was like a fairy who had fallen to the human world. Even Wu Yu's eyes were hard to understand. How could this perfect woman in front of him only recover 1/5 of her? Luo Ben now was completely different from her in the past. She might have been a big sister before, but now she was a dragon overlord flying in the sky. Even though she was very gentle and caring to Wu Yu could still feel the pressure on her life level. Wu Yu was not sure about the date, let alone whether she could get out before the agreed date. Unexpectedly, she had already known about it and left Wu Yu for half a month. Half a month should be enough. It was a pity that she could not reach the second level of the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm. Then let's try it. Wu Yu was excited. He finally had hope to leave here. Luo Ben shook her head gently and said, "Before that, I need to help you a little." "Help?" Wu Yu hesitated. "It's such an important day for you, so you have to be more confident, right?" "Sit down." She stretched out her white hands, pressed Wu Yu's shoulders and pushed down. Wu Yu followed her instructions and sat cross-legged on the ground. He didn't know what Luo Ben was going to do, so he was confused. But Luo Ben was so close to him, and it would be difficult for any man not to be confused at this time. "Don't think about it." Luo Ben glared at him. Okay. Wu Yu lowered his head quickly, a little embarrassed. Luo Ben was born with a kingly demeanor. Although her tone was very light, her words were unquestionable. Suddenly, mist filled the air around him. When Wu Yu raised his head, a snow-white little dragon was falling from his head and entangled around him. The dragon's body entangled him all over. The dragon's head was facing Wu Yu. From the azure eyes, he knew it was Luo Ben. "Close your eyes," Luo Ben said softly. Wu Yu did as he was told. "Focus on your Purple Mansion. I will help you reach the second level of the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm." At the last moment, Luo Ben's gentle words rang in his ears. "So that's it?" She wanted to do this. Wu Yu was a little moved, but this was not the time to be moved, but to seize this opportunity. He calmed down and focused his energy on the Purple Mansion Kanghai. When Luo Ben wrapped around him, Wu Yu suddenly saw that a snow-white dragon appeared in his Purple Mansion Kanghai. As soon as the dragon appeared, it swam in the Purple Mansion Kanghai. At first, the movement was relatively small, but soon, its body expanded and its movements were swift. The originally peaceful Purple Mansion was instantly stirred. For a moment, the Purple Mansion was turned upside down. Wu Yu also felt a mess and his body almost exploded. In the time of chaos, operate the method of expanding the Purple Mansion, swallow the Kanghai Yuan Kai pill, and sprint to a new realm. Luo Ben's words rang in Wu Yu's ears. He knew that Luo Ben would never harm him, so he relaxed his mind and did exactly what she said. This was also a peculiar method. When the Purple Mansion Kanghai rolled up, Wu Yu clearly felt that the opportunity had come. He used the great heavenly immortal technique to forge the Purple Mansion Palace, and at the same time swallowed the Kanghai Yuan Kai pill. Unexpectedly, when the Purple Mansion Kanghai was swept by the flood storm disrupted by Luo Ben, it was much stronger in terms of operation, absorption, and swallowing. During this process, Wu Yu's Purple Mansion was constantly expanding. After 3 or 4 months of travel, he achieved it in just one day. The thin membrane between him and the second level of the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm was forcibly broken by Luo Ben when he rolled in the Purple Mansion Kanghai. A day later, Wu Yu swallowed nearly 2,000 Kanghai Yuan Kai pills and successfully sprinted to a higher realm, the second level of the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 461. After the end, Luo Ben looked a little tired. She transformed from a dragon into a human form and said, "This is the quick learning method of my dragon clan. It can only be used at critical moments. There is no benefit in long-term use. So I can't improve you to a higher level." Wu Yu was consolidating his cultivation. He was grateful and said quickly, "This is enough. Thank you." In fact, she was very careful and had been paying attention to him all the time. "In fact, I just pulled you a little. From the first level to the second level, more than 90% of it was done by you. But it was you who gave me 2 secret books and many materials so that I could comprehend it. After consolidating for a while and stabilizing in the second level of the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm, Wu Yu stood up. Luo Bin was in front of him. She recovered quickly and was no longer a problem at this time. Wu Yu didn't say much about thanking him. He remembered Luo Bin's help to him. If he met her again by chance, he would repay her then. The second level of the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm is really different. It was stronger than before. His weakest part, the Purple Palace Yuanli, was greatly enhanced. In terms of Purple Palace Yuanli alone, it was not weaker than that of an ordinary centurion. The two looked at each other in the dead night. Eyes with golden symbols and bright blue eyes. Wu Yu knew that she was about to try to destroy the exit. However, both knew that once they got out of here, they would go their separate ways, or even never see each other again. Luo Bin thought for a moment and asked Wu Yu, "Have you ever thought about leaving Shenzhou and going to the sea with me?" She actually intended to take herself away. Wu Yu was flattered. "Don't go with her. Under her protection, you will never be able to surpass her." When he said this, Ming Long reminded himself anxiously. Wu Yu was also thinking carefully. Ming Long was talking about one point, but for Wu Yu, the more important thing was that he couldn't let go of the land of Shenzhou. He had many things that he wanted to pursue alone. He is too far away from Lupin now. Following her, even if she takes care of him, Wu Yu's mood will change a little. So after a brief hesitation, he still shook his head and smiled. "No, you and I are in different worlds. I am in Shenzhou and I still have many ties." "Is it the girl named Nangang Wei?" Lupin asked. Wu Yu didn't know what she meant by asking this. He thought about it and shook his head. "It's not all because of her. But I think I have to go alone for a while." Lupin nodded and said softly, "I'm just giving you a choice. In fact, I don't recommend you to follow me. I am your predecessor. I walk far ahead of you, and you can't keep up with me. However, in the days to come, I still hope that one day I can see you again in another world." They are about to separate. Wu Yu looked at her high zinling still wrapped around her jade neck. To be honest, after such a long time together and so many inner throbbing, it is rare to meet such a confidant in life. If they separate at this time, and they may never meet again in the future, he is still reluctant. Sometimes, he wanted to fight for it. It is very likely that he will not meet another woman who is so suitable in his life. However, he knows more clearly the gap between him and her. Maybe age and experience are not a problem and can be overcome, but the realm between the two is the most insurmountable thing. He has self-knowledge. In life, you need to give up many times. If you don't give up now, you will never get it in the future. So, he gritted his teeth and put away his heart, and smiled to Lupin. "I am really lucky to have met you during this period. It has solved a lot of my confusions and made me feel like I have found a like-minded person. Let's not talk about other things. Don't come to me in the future. Maybe one day, I will find you." He is still proud in his heart. He doesn't want Lupin to come to see him specially. He wants to go to her world one day. Staring at Wu Yu, Luo Bin's mood also changed a little. She was also a person of few words. At this time, she stared at Wu Yu and said, "In fact, you have also solved a lot of my confusion. I have been practicing for 152 years. I have seen many young people of your age, but I have never felt the same way as you. Although you are young, I also admire you. In the future, I will definitely wait for you to come to me, right?" Wu Yu nodded without hesitation. This is his next goal of practicing Taoism. However, Luo Bin is more than 100 years old and can be his grandmother in the mortal world. It is still a bit scary to think about it. After Wu Yu nodded, Luo Bin got the answer she wanted. She didn't say anything more, but walked towards the exit. On the way, she said to Wu Yu, "Be ready, stand farther away, the movement may be a bit loud." Wu Yu hurriedly pushed the devouring heaven demon mansion into it and hid behind the door to see clearly. At this time, Luo Bin held a slender trident, as if the sea god was standing at the exit. In front of her was the exit to prevent the stone key. She began to be covered with dragon scales, and in the blink of an eye, she turned into a snow-white dragon man. At this time, her body showed a majestic aura. Obviously, she was in a very strong state at this moment. The appearance of this dragon man was snow-white and gorgeous, pure and natural, but very domineering. Between her gestures, she had the power of a giant beast. Even a slight breath was more terrifying than a giant beast galloping. She was ready to take action. She is sure to succeed, she will definitely succeed. Wu Yu was not sure about her current strength, but he was confident in her. At this moment, he suddenly felt someone behind him looking at him. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Suddenly my hair stood on end. When I looked back, there was nothing. He immediately turned his piercing eyes, and his eyes penetrated a lot. He scanned the entire sky-devouring demon mansion in an instant, but found nothing. Except for the black demon wolf, there was not even a fly. At this moment, Luo Bin's trident seemed to be pierced through the exit. Wu Yu was still thinking about what happened behind him. The earth shook for a moment, as if the entire sky-swallowing demon mansion was collapsing. All the gods in the apse were. The demon wolf is also howling in fear. The terrifying roaring sound caused Wu Yu to lose his hearing instantly, and a dazzling blue burst out. At that moment, Wu Yu almost lost his vision, and his vision became blurry. It should be the gods of all things looking at me, Wu Yu thought. Just when he thought of this, in the dazzling blue, a domineering force swallowed him up. In the blink of an eye, he seemed to be surrounded by a group of gentle water. His body moved quickly. He understood that this was Luo Bin's way through. He entered the passage and was taking him away at this time. When the surrounding light dimmed slightly, his vision and hearing recovered, and he roughly saw Luo Bin controlling him and moving up a tunnel. She succeeded. Finally, we can return to Yanhuang Ancient Well. A place like the Tian Demon Mansion was dark and dead, and he didn't want to go in there a second time. Boom! The sky collapsed again, and he rushed out of an area. At this time, he smelled the smell of yellow sand. In a perfect place without spiritual energy, he suddenly came to a place with strong spiritual energy. Wu Yu was hungry and thirsty, and his body began to swallow wildly, gathering into among the vast sea of characters. Looking around, this is an ancient city. Yanhuang Ancient Well, he is back. Luo Bin let go of herself, so Wu Yu slowly fell to the ground. He looked back and saw that the high platform where the Yanhuang city lord was sitting cross-legged had been destroyed. Scattered rocks fell everywhere. If you look down there, you can probably see the heaven-devouring demon mansion directly. After the entrance and exit were destroyed by Luo Bin, the Tian demon mansion and the Yanhuang ancient well were the same at this time. At this time, Luo Bin put away her trident magical weapon. Wu Yu realized that that magical weapon was the most feared weapon. Of course, at least it was a Taoist weapon. Luo Bin's ability to open this channel should have something to do with this Taoist weapon. However, what he didn't expect was that in the next moment, the scattered rocks would be piled up again, sealing the entrance and exit again. It seems that the entrance to the sky-devouring demon mansion has been sealed again. Of course, this entrance and exit was set up by gods, so it's not surprising that it can be restored automatically. If it can't recover automatically, it probably won't be easy for Luo Bin to fight it out. At this time, the dust cleared, and the entire ancient city became very clear. Outside the ancient city, there was still yellow sand everywhere. Inside the Yanhuang ancient well, except for the roaring yellow sand, there seemed to be nothing else. Suddenly, two people appeared in front of Wu Yu and Luo Bin. There was a man, tall and wearing black armor. He was like a god of war, powerful and domineering. Although he was not targeting Wu Yu also felt the majestic pressure. The other person is an old man with an ordinary human body shape, standing barefoot on the ground, with a dull expression and pure eyes. These two people are Emperor Commander De Yi and Yanhuang City Lord De Yan. Among them, De Yan, who was wearing a light golden robe, was the strongest person in the divine continent. They appeared at the same time because of Luo Bin. At this time, their eyes were obviously full of shock. They had all seen Luo Bin, but they had never seen Luo Bin like this. Now the Yanhuang City Lord looked shocked and blurted out, "It turned out to be a fairy beast and a dragon with such attainments, it's so deep that I didn't even recognize it before." Immortal beast and dragon, the Emperor's commander looked livid, suppressed him, and said slightly angrily, "No matter who you are, you dare to break into the heaven-devouring demon mansion. Don't you know that the heaven-devouring demon ancestor is guarding here?" They originally thought that Wu Yu and Luo Bin disappeared due to other reasons in Yanhuang Ancient Well. At that time, the city lord only went out on business for more than 10 days. After returning, Wu Yu and Luo Bin disappeared, but everything in the ancient city remained as usual, and Qin Fuyu was also here. Of course, Qin Fuyu said that she did not know the situation of Wu Yu and the two. He searched for a long time but couldn't find the two of them, but he didn't even think about the heaven-devouring demon mansion. Luo Bin didn't want to conflict with them, so she retreated behind Wu Yu and said, "I'm sorry, I'd better let Wu Yu talk to you." Wu Yu said, "Naturally he knows better. After all, they still regard Wu Yu as one of their own." In order to prevent conflicts between the two parties, Wu Yu has a heavy task. He himself does not know how the city lord and the emperor commander will deal with it after listening to the process. Luo Bin has only recovered 20%, so she should be far from their match. The fifth update is completed.